The rebuild moves forward and the car world is watching closely. Matt Armstrong has just revealed a discovery about his Bugatti Chiron that sparks serious questions about what Bugatti might have known from the beginning. This has gone far beyond a simple repair. It's about an independent builder who split a car the manufacturer insisted couldn't be split, who is now creating parts better than what came from the factory, and who may have uncovered a corporate secret buried in a cracked cast aluminum component. Matt Armstrong is back in Miami, and the entire mood of the project has changed. The teardown stage, the part everyone believed would be impossible, is finished. The hypercar now sits split cleanly in half. The procedure that Bugatti insisted could only be done inside their factory has now been completed in a small independent workshop by a team driven by skill, persistence, and a refusal to accept the word impossible. That's the calm confidence of someone who has moved past, proving a point, and is now focused on the harder, more meaningful challenge: reconstruction. Not just restoration to what the car was, but reimagining what it can be. The to-do list is formidable. The critical gearbox mounting bracket still needs repair. The aluminum front structure has to be fabricated completely from scratch. 4 damaged radiators must be restored, and every component Bugatti refuses to supply has to be sourced, engineered, or built through independent channels. And on top of all that, the car is getting an upgrade. FXG, the current owner, wants a louder exhaust, but not cheap noise. He wants the kind of sound the Chiron's W16 engine truly deserves. Bugatti builds its cars for regulations, market acceptance, and broad commercial appeal. The exhaust note gets softened, civilized, made palatable for the widest possible audience. That's not a criticism, it's just the reality of manufacturing at scale. But Matt isn't building for the widest possible audience. He's building for one person, one car, and one engine that has 16 cylinders and deserves to sound like it. The entire rear exhaust assembly has been removed, a task that required taking the car apart even further, pulling the rear subframe, disconnecting fuse boards, removing bolts, and carefully separating sections until the massive titanium exhaust assembly finally lifted free. Matt's dad, Tony, handled most of the physical work, while Matt focused on editing the main channel video, which speaks to the kind of operation this has become: lean, efficient, family-driven. The exhaust is now headed to Valvetronic in Austin, who will scan the original system and fabricate something completely custom. This isn't a straight pipe hack job. It's proper engineering, maintaining the primary catalytic converters for emissions compliance, while removing the secondary cats that restrict flow and strangle the sound. The result will be louder and more aggressive, but tuned to the actual character of the W16 rather than engineered around it. This is an upgrade Bugatti would never offer because it doesn't fit their brand positioning. But it's exactly the kind of modification that makes this rebuild something more than a repair job. While the exhaust heads to Texas, custom wheels are being designed using 3D scanning technology. The tolerances around those enormous brake calipers are measured in millimeters, and getting the fitment wrong isn't just an aesthetic problem, it's a functional one. The scanning process ensures the new wheels will clear everything perfectly without the guesswork that ruins expensive custom wheel projects. Now for the part that has people talking. The gearbox mounting bracket, the cast aluminum component that connects the engine to the transmission, is what made splitting the car necessary in the first place. It was damaged in the original crash, and its position deep in the rear of the car made it one of the last components anyone would have thought to check after what was primarily a front-end impact. And that's exactly what bothered Matt. "We had a bit of a brainwave," he explained. "That gearbox mount was actually spotted by Bugatti themselves during the insurance inspection, which made us think, obviously, it was a front-end accident. Why would we have checked the rear end of the car? It's something I probably wouldn't have checked, because it's all the way at the back. A bit of a brainwave last night that gearbox mount between the engine and the gearbox on the Bugatti was actually spotted by Bugatti themselves, which has now made us think that obviously a front-end accident, while we just checked the rear end of the car, is something I probably wouldn't have checked because it's obviously all the way at the back. But when the car got inspected by the insurance, it went to Bugatti, and we're wondering whether Bugatti in France actually called the Bugatti inspection in the US to say, could you check this part of the back? Because it just seems strange that they would take off all the undertrays to have a look there if it wasn't a well-known issue before. So it's possible that cast aluminium part between the gearbox and the engine is known by Bugatti to fail. So yeah, It just seems odd. The question Matt started asking was simple, but pointed. Something about this rebuild isn't adding up. When inspectors from Bugatti examined the crashed Bugatti Chiron, they didn't just look at the obvious damage in the front. They went straight to a very specific component buried deep in the rear of the car, the gearbox mounting bracket. That raises a serious question. How did they know exactly where to look? Because removing the undertrays and checking that hidden component isn't something you do by accident. It suggests something else entirely. It suggests they already knew that part could fail. And if that's true, it changes the entire story. Because a sacrificial component breaking during a crash isn't bad engineering. It's actually smart design. A bracket designed to fail can absorb energy before it destroys the gearbox or transmission. In other words, the bracket breaks so the expensive parts don't. But here's where things get uncomfortable. If Bugatti knew this bracket could fail, and knew it could be replaced, why was the car written off in the first place? Why refuse to sell the replacement part? Why the silence? The most logical answer isn't engineering, it's control. Because the moment independent builders realize a crashed Chiron can be brought back to life by replacing a single known failure component, everything changes. Suddenly more wrecked Chirons get rebuilt instead of scrapped. More of them stay on the road. And that threatens the one thing hypercar brands protect above everything else, exclusivity. But this is where Matt Armstrong flips the entire narrative. Instead of begging the manufacturer for parts, he scanned the broken bracket using professional 3D equipment and turned it into a full CAD model. Not to copy it, but to improve it. The original part was cast aluminum. Casting forces engineers into compromises. Wall thickness has to stay uniform so the metal cools correctly, which means material often ends up where it isn't needed. The CNC replacement Matt is making doesn't have those limitations. Material can be placed exactly where the stress loads demand it. Thickness can vary where strength is required. The result is a part that is lighter, stronger, and far more efficient than the original. And it costs a fraction of what Bugatti would charge, if they even agreed to sell it. Then there are the radiators. 4 of them were damaged in the crash. Sounds catastrophic, until a specialist looked at them. His reaction? This is just a standard radiator. No exotic secret technology, no impossible factory-only repair. Just high-performance cooling components that any skilled engineer can rebuild, and that's exactly what's happening. Parts are moving between the UK and Miami in suitcases. Fabricators are recreating components Bugatti refuses to supply. A custom exhaust is already being built to finally let the W16 sound the way it should. Piece by piece, the car the manufacturer declared impossible to repair is coming back to life. But the most shocking detail might be this. Matt is actually considering buying the car himself when it's finished. Think about that. A car declared beyond saving, rebuilt from a split chassis, and the guy rebuilding it wants to keep it. Because at this point, this isn't just a rebuild anymore. It's proof that the story around this car was never really about the damage. And with every CNC part, every fabricated bracket, every repaired radiator, that story is starting to fall apart.